Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today we have the father-daughter team from the Schween team, or shall we call it the McCaffrey Schween team. We've got Jeff Schween and Kelsey McCaffrey with us, father-daughter team, and they are in the real estate world. So Jeff and Kelsey, it'd be very interesting to hear how you both got into real estate.
Yeah, I'll synopsize mine. Mine was a college experience trying to decide between investment banking and real estate. And I got to do some exciting things as a senior in college at Chico State, basically being the lead on purchasing a fraternity house for our group. So soup to nuts, we had to find the house, raise the funds, close the deal. And it's a hell of a backstory. And that's what launched me into real estate and got me really excited about this world that I'm still in now.
Yeah, some 35 years ago.
35 years ago now.
And Kelsey came along at some point and decided to get into real estate also.
In July, so much more recent transition. Oh. Mine's a little more unconventional, but when my parents were working together on a team, I was the kid at the dining room table folding up all the newsletters or doing all the mailers with them. And that was something of delivering stuff to my mom's open houses. And it was always something in the back of my head. I also went to Chico State, graduated, and actually did 6 years of Teach for America out in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, nice. Wow.
I was teaching. I worked as a principal out there, but I needed to come home and I missed my family, and it was just a natural transition for me to kind of leave that behind in the back seat and kind of get back into real estate and working with my family. So I've only been doing this since July, and that's when the Schween Group was kind of founded and blended our experiences together.
Well, and you're probably not folding and entering things into envelopes any longer.
No, oh my word, no.
Yeah, very little mailing going on. I mean, She's underselling herself, Bruce. Like, so when she was at Teach for America, they paid for her to go to Johns Hopkins. And so she got her master's at Johns Hopkins, and with honors, we got to see her walk and graduate. And I'm like, what are you doing in New Mexico? We have been tripping on you to get here. This is right in your wheelhouse, Kelsey. So she finally said, I'm in.
Well, wait a minute. What did you get your master's in?
I did educational leadership. At the time, I was a principal at a startup public charter school there and helped found it from a tiny little hallway of a school into this giant school. By the time I left, did elementary and middle school. And we were at the top 1% of schools when we left.
Wow. Yeah. That is very impressive. Well, I hate to say this, but education is probably 90% of real estate. So I think it's a natural transition to go through.
Well, working with kids is very similar to working with adults. I'm starting to realize they have a lot of very similar traits. And when you're a principal, you deal with we always used to say children were your most valuable asset, and homes are the same thing. So there's a lot of emotion tied into it. And I'm finding a lot of the times those difficult conversations, they're very similar, how you work with people's emotions and all of that. So more similarities than you'd think.
I can only believe that is so true, that it's all about understanding your client and finding out what they need and trying to solve their problem. So,
exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a very similar situation. So going back to Jeff here for a minute. So you got into real estate and then you started selling residential real estate. You also did some improvements projects along the way.
Yeah. So along the way, like you start out and my first week in real estate is like, here's a phone book. These are the people you need to call, like literally a phone book, and then go do open houses and then knock on doors and ask people if they want to sell their house. That was the initial training I got. I thought that's it? Like, there's got to be something else. So it was an interesting start. So, you kind of flounder along the way. I'm obviously we're mentoring Kelsey a little different than that process. The how-tos, Kelsey starting with an action book. These are the things to start with. These are the things to roll into next. These are the things we build off to create more. And so she's learning that, which we had to learn the organic way. And then you realize, like, wow, I'm 10 years behind where I should be, because I'm actually just learning all these things I'm supposed to be doing on the activity side of the equation, because that's all you control. All you can really control is your activities, and then how smart and capable you are of serving the people you're serving. Because if, everyone out there has the ability to make decisions, but sometimes they don't have the right consultant or leader or creative force that helps them find the solution in their own way. And it's an art really in our business to help people make up their own minds, because you can't pull the mafia thing like, listen, if you don't buy this house, you're taking out the child. That's not how it works. So you really have to talk with them. You have to solve issues. You have to help them think fluidly about what they're doing, where they're going, where they've been. And it's a fascinating, I'm fascinated by it. I'm as enthusiastic, I think, today as I was when I started. I know a whole lot more now. So Kelsey's getting the better side of that. But then after doing, residential real estate for so long, we had, we would pick up houses, make them beautiful, and then resell them. Now they call that flipping, but that in the 90s, that's what I would do. I'd partner with my lender or another friend. We'd buy a house, fix it up because we knew what it needed, and then sell it in the market. You always you got paid for some time, and you made a little profit. It was never like a windfall, right?
Right.
So we did that, and then we had these little big events called the 2017 Tubbs Fire up here in Santa Rosa, where like 5,334 homes got lost in a rampant fire on a Sunday night.
Oh, wow. I did not realize that many homes were gone.
That
Wow.
was just in
I mean, you
Santa,
hear
5,334 houses.
Whoa. I mean, you'll hear all about Paradise disappearing,
That
but
was after. That was like the year later.
Yep.
wow. I did not realize now that I'm thinking back, yeah, okay. There was year prior to Paradise, there was a big fire. So I didn't
Yeah.
realize you had lost that many homes up there.
Yeah, and it was really kind of, it wasn't just that swath of homes, but that swath of homes is probably the most affluent part of Santa Rosa.
Oh,
So if you go, Santa Rosa has 30,000 homes, you lost 5,000 homes, and it's in the most affluent portion of Santa Rosa. You can imagine the different dynamics, because we're not just, you're not just going to rebuild a subdivision. So some of them were, most of them were not. And so at the time, like, I saw my wheelhouse go up in smoke, all those houses and lives you had worked with over years that got reduced to rubble and dirt. And you're like scratching your head going, wait, so instead of selling a $3 million house or $1 million house, I'm selling a $200,000 lot or a $600,000 lot. And like this is going to change. This is going to change a lot of dynamics. And the week before the fire, we had hosted a client event at my house. It was kind of a combination, my 50th birthday party and a client thank you party, basically. And we had like 88 people attend it, and like 70 lost houses.
oh, wow. Ouch.
So pretty like, and so my wife and I decided at the time, like, how can we help? How can we make a difference? And so we had a pretty good list of clientele, and one of them was a builder developer from San Francisco, and we kind of leaned into him and said, hey, we have this idea. If we can line up people to rebuild their homes in some sequential format that works, can you jump in and manage the design and build process? And we get these people to the other side so they get their keys and get moved back into their houses. And he said, yeah, we could do that. And so we put on a couple insurance symposiums, brought up Mike Bedart from Southern California to talk to the community and our clients about the insurance process, what to look out for, when you might need to lean into a litigator. This whole process, how to avoid litigation if you can. And so we walked our clients through this process and then essentially found ourselves out there designing and building houses with people.
So how many end up rebuilding or building at that point?
25 if you count our own personal home.
Oh, wow. That is a lot.
It's not 5,000, but everyone had to do something, right?
Yeah, right. Well, so at this point, how many of those 5,000 have been rebuilt?
Yeah, we're at about 4,000, maybe just over 4,000. So you still got another 1,300 homes that haven't been rebuilt.
And so are those 1,300, did they decide to go elsewhere or are they just still working on it?
A couple things I mean, a large portion of people sold their lots. So they either sold them to you, me, or a builder to come in and do a speculation project. I can re-envision this. I can put something out the market's going to want to buy, or, like myself, I want to build my own house. I want to buy that lot. And so I'll buy your lot. But the people that still own the dirt that haven't sold it are, for the most part, they're the mindset like, I don't know what I want to do with it. I might just let my kids decide one day when they inherit it. I'm not sure. I don't know if I had the emotional capacity to get rid of it. I don't know if I'd feel good getting rid of it, or I'd feel, the opposite, So we sold a lot of dirt for people too that were like, just get me out of this nightmare. I can't deal with it anymore. I mean, let's say you're 85 years old and you're like, you want me to like take on designing and building a house and signing up for that? Like, I don't know how many years I got left, right?
Well, so, probably, correct me if I'm wrong, the insurance probably didn't pay for the full rebuild of the house. So you're kind of caught, right?
Yeah, well, a lot of people got caught. Some people were really well insured. I'd say a heavy percentage underinsured. So you're pulling from other insurance buckets within your insurance claim. There's the rebuild the dwelling bucket, but there's also the personal property bucket and the landscaping bucket and the temporary housing bucket, all those buckets that people at the Palisades are dealing with right now, people at Paradise dealt with, and things you never thought you had to know about insurance policies that you learned in the process. That, we used to sell a house, and 3 days before closing, you go, oh, you got to get your homeowner's insurance in line so we can close. And like, oh yeah, let me make my phone call. And it's like, click, 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 done. Yeah. Now it's like, when you go look at a house with a client, they're like, what's the insurance going to be like on this place? I need to know that before we even make an offer. And sometimes you're not getting to an offer status because like, I'm not paying $38,000 a year for insurance on this house.
That's 38,000. Whoa.
I mean, we see numbers from 5,000 to 58,000, depending upon, if it's a $6 million estate in the country, or if it's a 2,000 square foot house in Coffey Park.
Wow. What was the rate before the fires? Like what?
1,800 to like 6,000. 1,800 to 6.
1,800 to 6, and now it's jumped to sometimes 30 or 30.
5,000. Call it 5 to 60. 5,000 to 60,000 is kind of the range.
30. That was an unusual one, but
yeah, the ones at 35, 50, 60. I mean, those are going to be outlier homes, $6-7 million type stuff, but
still, it sounds like it's probably tripled, right? At least.
Yeah, more than that. It's definitely more than tripled. Yeah,
and some insurance carriers left the state completely. So
yeah, it's been a little seesaw. Like some have left, kind of teetered back in, left. Some haven't come back yet. It's this ongoing battle with our insurance commissioner in the state about how policies can be structured and what insurance rates can be for different homes and stuff like that. So it's a bit of an industry versus California fight going on.
Well, the state has their own insurance, right, that you can pick up.
It's insurance of last resort, and I can say like our home right now is insured with California Fair Plan. It's not where I really want to be, but it was certainly more affordable than what we would call a non-admitted policy, which would be a policy not backed by the state of California. So like Allstate would be a admitted policy. State Farm, Farmers, those would be like admitted policies. But then you go to like Northlights or Scottsdale or some of these other insurance companies, and they might be a sister company of Allstate or Farmers or USAA or any of those, but they're not. They don't have the same requirement as an admitted carrier in the state, so they can charge what they really feel is the cost of the policy, and people end up having to pay it. You have to have insurance if you have a mortgage, so you've got no way around it. If you have a mortgage, you're required by law, by the language in the deed of trust and the mortgage, that you have to have it. So it's like, it used to be an afterthought. Now it's like, it's more than my health insurance every month,
It's the first thing out the gate.
Mhm.
Wow.
It is.
So how many transactions have kind of failed just because all of a sudden the insurance costs are just way too much?
I mean, we've only had a handful in the last 5 years fail personally, but we've seen, I think the industry stats, our Compass just put out some industry stats that it's about 17% of the transactions that have gone under contract have failed due to insurance.
Wow.
Either lack of insurance or cost of insurance. If you say
Right.
your new home's going to cost you $12,000 in insurance, like, yeah, but then you say, well, it's going to be $38,000. Like, whoa, hold on. A year?
Yeah. Wait. Well,
So do I just send my social security check to them and that's how we handle this?
Yeah.
Is that it?
that's what I got to do for insurance. Well, and how many banks have said, well, wait, when you put the insurance cost in, all of a sudden they don't qualify, perhaps?
Yes, because it's your debt to income ratio, and when you're figuring your mortgage, you have your principal and interest, your property taxes, and your insurance. And those again, if it's 4 times the cost it used to be just for insurance, it becomes a real factor in qualifying.
Wow, that is very interesting. But it sounds like you're making it work. I mean, what if 4,000 of those 5,000 houses have been rebuilt? So
Yep.
people are staying in Santa Rosa, or at least somebody's coming into Santa Rosa and buying up those homes. So
We've had a lot of flow from the Bay Area, even from Southern California. It's, when the whole area started getting rebuilt, all of a sudden you start seeing, those homes you see on TV, right? You know what the style and the trends are. When you see it on TV, you go like, that's what I want. Just like that. I saw it on $1 Million listing, or saw it on Bravo on this and that show. And they did a house just like I want to have a house just like that. So then we were building houses that looked a lot like that. So you had people like, I'll be in the wine country. This will be great. I can get out of San Carlos or San Jose or Fremont or wherever and come up here. And then the pandemic hit.
Oh.
So you go from 2017 Tubbs fire to like early 2020 pandemic. We're really at the front end of rebuilding at that point, right? And then you really have that Bay Area exodus of like, I'm going to wine country, I'm going to Tahoe, I'm going to Carmel, or I'm leaving the state, like those kind of moves from the Bay Area. And Santa Rosa really did benefit a lot by that because of what was going on with all the new construction already. And so it was quite a draw. We really had an affluency shift in our market. Like for people who said, I can't stay in Santa Rosa, I lost my house, I can't afford to live here, I'm leaving and I'm going to Sacramento or Merced or Tennessee or Florida or Austin, Texas. For every net $1 million affluent household that left, we probably have a net $5 million affluent household that moved in.
Oh,
so
wow.
You really had an affluency shift, and I'm sure people left here that went somewhere else. Someone else is saying the same thing. My God, we can't afford this anymore. We're going to have to move to Ohio. These people are coming in from California and driving the prices up. I can't stay here. So it's really been pretty amazing.
So that brings us to Kelsey. And so you've only been in this for a few months, but I suspect you're already seeing things that you can do and change, and the whole approach is going to be completely different in the future. So what do you think is happening out there?
Well, what I'm seeing, especially as we were talking about AI a little bit and how especially that age of home buyers keeps going up, where you have a large group of people who aren't entering the market. A lot of what we're hearing from AI, whether using Gemini or ChatGPT, is a lot of younger people are asking them for advice rather than going onto Google or asking professionals. Is we're being told the primary function, we used to be thinking, oh, well, to run reports and this and that. And as professionals, that's what we're doing. But younger adults are using it for advice. So when you're a real estate agent, it's incredibly important that if somebody types in the best real estate agent in Santa Rosa or Sonoma County, that your name is populating up there, that anything related to you is doing that. And that's from a personal standpoint. And from a professional standpoint, we are using it to automate things. Rather than spending hours running through market reports, I'm able to type in a prompt into ChatGPT and run new market reports. I just attended a conference in San Jose where a key part of it was, if you have a listing that's not selling and you're kind of tripped up on why, here's a prompt that you can use and inputting everything you need, have it probe you questions and figure out, why is this house not selling? It can go through photos, it can go through data, it can look at all kinds of things. And so it really is that kind of tool. It's in your pocket. It can do as little or as much as you teach it to. There's power in the prompt.
And we've been using AI for probably just over 6 years now at Compass in basically, alerting you to the fact that there's someone in your client database that is looking to buy a home or sell a home right now. Here's their name.
Wow.
And so that information, because there's already that connection of that relationship, and because that AI can track that you've gone to see eight different Cadillac Escalades, or you've been looking at fishing boats, and so everything kind of all of a sudden starts populating your world. Cadillac Escalade, fishing boat, right? So
right.
So all those kind of cookies that are grabbing onto things you're looking at. Just like with real estate, we have artificial intelligence helps us figure out, hey, we know our clients are looking before they're even calling us saying we're looking.
Well, wait a minute. I want to back up for a second. I didn't realize, I hadn't even thought about this, that like Google, you can get on the top of the search list. So in AI, how do you get on the top of the search list?
Oh, and that's a great question. We were just talking about this earlier, how different engines are going to use different priorities. We were talking about, well, if you type in best realtor in Santa Rosa, we pop up in the top 3. And so I did the same thing. Why is that happening? And why are we not number 1? How can we get to number 1? And looking at, some agents are using paid programming to get a lot of those keywords, but ours come from authentic testimonies. When I pulled up
organic,
right. Why are we in the top 3? Like, best is very subjective. It was because,
wait a minute. Did you ask AI why you weren't the top?
No, I ran something different on it. But you could ask, why did you populate these 3, and kind of dig into its programming? Yeah. And I did a reverse of that. Why did you pull ours? And ours was coming from our website. It was coming from testimony. It was coming for keywords and awards that we had won that we made sure were front and center on our website. But if you went to Google and typed in that same question, we wouldn't appear. So then we said, okay, that's something really good for us to look at. And we looked at, Google's completely different. Here's how Google pulls this kind of information. So I am constantly on the ball of, how are we making sure that when somebody types this into chat, to Google, to Yelp, that we are popping up, so that that name keeps coming up. So somebody goes, I've got to go with them. They're everywhere. And that's kind of my job behind the scenes.
Yeah, I need to at least have them on my shopping list. They keep showing up in all these different places.
Well, we probably shouldn't be broadcasting this to our competitors, because now they're going to try and figure this out. Although I suspect a lot of competitors don't have a Kelsey in their house, so they can figure this out.
You have to be on it. It's a lot of work to make sure you're populating, to make sure you're meeting the criteria. It takes a lot of research to figure out how they work. And all it takes is an algorithm change for all of that to change, where all of a sudden you're not populating anymore. And here's why. And so it's something you got to keep your thumb on.
Are you using Google Ads at all?
We haven't. We've used some Google Ads on there. We do a lot of Instagram. We focus a lot of it used to be hashtags, right? Like if you'd go to Instagram, you would search up the hashtag realtor, Santa Rosa. Hashtags are basically obsolete at this point. Your SEO, what's in the text of your Instagram post, is so much more important for somebody to type in that keyword. And that was only a change that was made a few months ago. So you may have been, I'm hitting the top of all this programming, but unless you're staying on top of it, it doesn't work. But we've done Google Ads, Instagram. We've done a lot more of our social media presence. Unfortunately, this day and age, as a realtor, you do have to be able to be on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Google and all of these different platforms that.
My gosh.
It's all
How
different.
many platforms do you have to be on? Like,
I just, hey, Bruce,
10?
yeah, let's get together and meet and talk about this. Like, yeah, you're right. I see you all the time. Let's get together and meet and talk about this. So it's really fascinating. It's almost like I've watched Kelsey go through this stuff using these things. And what comes to mind is like, like that wondrous kid zone, like maybe a 4 or 5-year-old. Why is that? And then you answer them and they go, but why is that? And you answer him, and you go, why that? And then eventually you're just like, just because, that's why. And it's almost like that's what you got to do with AI.
Oh my gosh, it's a whole new world out there. Well, I think you've got the secret weapon now, so I'm very curious. I want to come back in like 3 months and find out how this is all going together now, because I think the results are probably starting to trickle in now, and you'll probably in 3 to 6 months really see the results.
Right.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think you start seeing it. I feel like we've been in this kind of trading line market for about 3 years in real estate, at least in the Bay Area, and the North Bay especially. So it's very rare that markets hover at a level for longer than that. So with the anticipation of the rates becoming more favorable, we can feel like a rhythm will start taking place where, all of a sudden that wheel is turning again, because we've seen the wheel kind of turn over like it's square, so it's moving, it's moving, it's not rolling yet. And so we anticipate that by, February time, we'll start seeing that rhythm, that circadian rhythm start to happen again.
Start to kind of inch up a little further here. So answer me one question. How is traffic these days getting to Santa Rosa?
Well, they just finished the Novato Narrow, so you got 3 lanes each side now.
All right. Yeah.
And it is time of day. Like Kelsey, we came home from a trip in Cabo, and Kelsey and her partner picked us up at SFO. We got home in like, I don't know, an hour, something like that. So, but if you did that at 1 p.m, it'd take you an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes probably.
The Petaluma grind or whatever you want to call that. Yeah. So, but they have put a lot of money into those highways.
I think 1.5 billion in the last decade.
Wow.
But it seems like as they're building that 1 extra lane, they should just it couldn't have been a whole much more expensive to make it 2 extra lanes.
Oh yeah, right. Another half the cost or whatever to but it doesn't always work that way. So
no, but fortunately we don't go south much. We're really here in the county, and we're living throughout and working within and out in the county. So very rarely am I down in Marin or San Francisco, unless it's for some alternate reason. We're not really doing real estate. We're really niche focused in our market here. And we find that the best realtors in other markets are those people that really, focus in their market. Whenever the trouble sign we'll have is like, we'll get a call from an agent and say, hey, I want to come up and show this property on 4713 Circle B Place tomorrow. And you're like, you're driving from San Jose? Just show a house? You must not be a good realtor if you're driving all the way out there. You're going to show a $1.3 million house in Santa Rosa, and you're driving from San Jose. No.
Okay, whatever works. Yeah.
Really good agents don't do that. Really good agents pick up the phone and they go, "Yeah, Jeff Schween's up there. I'm going to call him and Kelsey. I'm going to send you a client. You send me a referral fee. Here you go."
Yeah.
And that's what good agents do.
Well, time is money, and some agents do not understand that. So it's just a key factor. Well, all right, let's pause this conversation for now, because I want to see that square wheel turning next spring. I want to see how that's doing, and I want to know how Kelsey has worked with all the magic that she's doing. So we'll reconvene again in the very near future. That'd be fun.
Sounds good. We'll file off those edges on the square and make it more round.
Make that thing start to roll. All right. Well, where can people get a hold of you, Jeff?
They can find us at santarosafinehomes.com all the time, or they can always give us a call at 707-480-7653. That's 480-SOLD, if you don't know what 7653 is, but had that number since 1990.
Wow. All right. That is a good number. All right. Well, Kelsey and Jeff, it was great to have you, and I look forward to talking to you again in the near future because everything's changing these days.
Mhm.
So
That's the constant.
that
Everything's
is the
changing.
constant, no doubt about it. Well, we'll just keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully, no more fires this year, and off we go.
We've had a
Off
lot
we
of
go.
rain,
Off we
so-
go. Build it back better.
All right.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.